You're listening to The Alex Jones Show. From his Central Texas Command Center, deep behind enemy lines, the information war continues. It's Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Was the playoff game between the Packers and the Cowboys fixed? I don't know. Does the duck quack? We got an expert coming on about that, just to discredit the whole stinking mess. This video just went live. Americans March for Charlie Hebdo Dead. It's on Infowars.com if you're a radio listener, but for TV viewers, here is the footage and my commentary driving to the office today, and then some commentary I made right before we went live. We cut the two videos together. So even in Austin, Texas, they are marching for free speech and against the fear of terrorism for free speech. But France is leading the EU in restricting free speech across the board on other issues. And France was one of the main backers in funding the Islamic Jihad, ISIS, Al-Qaeda in Syria as part of the Free Syrian Army, the main contingent of it, and killed over 300,000 innocent Syrians the last 4 years. But now we've got 13, 14 people dead over in France, and it is the cause celeb. The mainstream media is all over it. This is the time to go out. This is the time to do it. This is the time that people are supposed to demonstrate because the media says so. And I think these people mean well. It's just that they need to know the rest of the story. I wish they'd march, because they're saying we're all Charlie. We're all Charlie Hebdo, the publication. I wish they would march. I mean, it'd really be fantastic if they do it against our Western governments, NATO and others, funding Al-Qaeda. They just had this in front of the city councils. There's some of the final people here in downtown Austin finishing up the demonstration. And it's just very, very sad that they don't know the rest of the story. EU-wide free speech is being annihilated. Freedoms are being taken away across the board. And it's the very EU that's opened the borders up to dissolve the cultures that are in Europe. And of course, now there's all these reports we must stop Le Pen from controlling the borders of France and not letting unlimited foreigners come in. And the day before the shootings last week, there were demonstrations in France and Germany against the radical Islamification of Europe. And those were decried, though, you see. So it's all limited demonstration that's in a politically correct context, and everybody comes out and demonstrates when it is politically correct to do so. And again, overall support demonstrating for free speech. But this is basically controlled opposition, and they don't even know it. Now, I shot the footage you just saw about an hour ago driving up to the radio TV studio to do my Sunday broadcast. And once I watched the video, I had two other points I wanted to make. I want to be clear. Most of the people out demonstrating, more power to you. It's your free speech right. I support the power of the pen. It is greater than the sword, as has been said many times. But even the surviving top cartoonist in the Daily Mail said, we vomit on all these people who suddenly say they are our friends who were criticizing them before or just jumping on the bandwagon. And DrudgeReport.com is top link to our story from Infowars.com. Government prepares internet speech crackdown following Paris attacks. So they're going to use this for internet censorship, for internet surveillance, and to promote NSA-style programs worldwide. So there you go. Daily Mail, Infowars.com. Go check it out for yourself. We shouldn't just go out and demonstrate when they tell us to, or when the media says now is the time. The French government and NATO, on record for 4 years, have been arming the ISIS and Al-Qaeda militants that trained these people. Think about that. We should be protesting and mourning our guilt as the West, radicalizing Islamists to take over countries and destabilize them. And then it blows back and the politicians march in solidarity. Benjamin Netanyahu and Hollande and all the rest of them, when Israel is on record funding the Syrian Free Army, that 90% of it's Al-Qaeda. And I'm not an Israel basher, but my God, the hypocrisy of this. I am against funding Al-Qaeda. The ADL probably say I'm anti-Semitic, so fine, go ahead. I don't support Al-Qaeda. Makes me sick. Infowars.com. All right, folks, we're going to go to break. I'll tell you who really is doing the right thing. Remember back in 2013, military revolt against Obama's attack on Syria, where thousands of officers held up the signs saying, "I will not fight for al-Qaeda in Syria"? That's smart protesting. I told you, it's the military that's awake. They know what's going on. For all of recorded history, civilizations around the world praised the health benefits of silver. At InfoWars Life, our mission is to bring you the highest quality, purest, cleanest, effective colloidal silver on the market today for the lowest price available. You don't have to be a doctor to know. The fall and winter months are the most dangerous time of year in North America when it comes to you and your family's health. InfoWarsLife.com is very excited to announce our biggest run yet of Silver Bullet colloidal silver, exclusively available at InfoWarsLife.com. Now, InfoWarsLife.com has taken colloidal silver to the next level using a cutting-edge technique that is free of toxic artificial additives. Now more than ever, it's important to stock up on high-quality silver bullet from InfoWarsLife.com and to help others during Christmas by teaching them about the powerful benefits of silver. Secure your silver bullet today at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139.
With your friends.
KLN, Los Angeles. Clone Radio. We play the songs that sound more like everyone else than anyone else. Clone.
Hitler took the guns. Stalin took the guns. Mao took the guns. Fidel Castro took the guns. Hugo Chavez took the guns. 1776 will commence again if you try to take our firearms. The Republic will rise again when you attempt to take our guns.
I have sworn upon the altar of God eternal hostility against every form of tyranny over the mind of man.
The answer to 1984 is 1776. You're listening to The Alex Jones Show.
There's a red-linked article on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. Alex Jones predicted Western-backed ISIS would attack West, went on to predict terror attack would be used to dismantle what's left of Western freedom. And that is from an article that we put out titled Obama Now Global Head of Al-Qaeda, Paul Watson, Alex Jones, March 21st, 2013. And we show how they're letting the radicals fly back and forth out of Europe, England, the United States, into Yemen, into Saudi Arabia, into Syria, into Jordan, into Turkey, to then launch these attacks when they're promising to come back and attack the West. Our government is doing this, and I love the comments. I love the comments on here. It's got listeners saying, duh, everybody knew ISIS and Al-Qaeda was going to attack us once they were done in Syria. Duh, I know you're my listeners and the readers of Infowars.com. But the whole audience, you know, is not on the website. In fact, a fraction of it is. We're on over 100 radio stations on the Sunday broadcast. The weekdays, almost double that. Most of our audience is transitory, only listens every once in a while or tunes through. And that's who I really want to reach out to. Don't you remember Ted Cruz, the senator, and Rand Paul, the senator, and all that media the last couple of years saying we shouldn't arm Al-Qaeda? So they changed the name to ISIS to confuse the public. And now they're attacking our troops in Iraq. They're attacking our allies in the Middle East, and they're saying they're going to come back and kill us. You don't think the West, France, NATO, all these countries that armed Al-Qaeda, it's Al-Qaeda armies with Al-Qaeda flags to go into Syria? More of a secular government, nice compared to Al-Qaeda, to overthrow it. It is a crime the West has committed. But now the world leaders, many of them accomplices, can march in Paris and feel good about themselves and claim it's for free speech. Simply mind-boggling. And it goes on and on and on. In the article, commenter JNDO says, we all predicted ISIS would attack the West. That was the obvious plan from the beginning. Duh. I know. Duh. Are you warning people? Because they're going to take all our freedoms with this, and more attacks are coming. And by the way, I told you that it would probably start in somewhere like France and then roll into Democrat-controlled areas where they know the victims won't fight back. Because they don't want that story of people fighting back. They want the story of whole cities like Boston taking over, looking for one patsy. And the Boston bombing was a staged event. This is how you really protest this. Military revolt against Obama's attack on Syria. Both top brass and regular service members express opposition to U.S. government involvement. That was 2013 in September. A year and a half ago, roughly. And you scroll through it, thousands of tweets of even high-level officers. We're talking majors, colonels, brigadier colonels, or full colonels, lieutenant colonels, you name it, coming out and saying, I didn't join the military to fight for Al-Qaeda, Infowars.com. Yeah, they also had Infowars.com on it. You think the system like that? So they changed the name to ISIS to confuse the public. It didn't confuse the military. And then I have these headlines, CNN, U.S. official on terror attacks. This isn't going to stop. It'll be like the war on drugs forever. It has metastasized out of Syria. Who planted the cancer in Syria? I thought Al-Qaeda was beaten. And then suddenly it's all back under a new name. It's metastasized. Dianne Feinstein, terrorist sleeper cells are in the U.S. Brace for attack. But no one. Obama to have an emergency summit to brace for the attacks. Source, terror cells activated in France, more coming. Oh, thank goodness there's army tanks on the sidewalk, and thank goodness there's armored vehicles, and thank goodness they're listening to all of us. The brothers were on Facebook bragging how they were going to kill everybody. We get censored on Facebook, boys and girls, and on Twitter. Memes we put out that are viral, that are just pro-Second Amendment or pro-free speech. But ISIS and Al-Qaeda are allowed to recruit and operate. Because the bigger they get, the more power our government gets to then fight them. Real simple. Remember, there was a famous case in New York 20-something years ago that for a decade, somebody would go around knocking with a ball-peen hammer hundreds of windshields out at night. Turned out it was the guy who had billboards up above it. One detective finally thought, funny how there's all these billboards everywhere, and one guy's getting all the business and opening shops everywhere. They went and investigated. They caught him and a bunch of his workers out with ball-peen hammers at night smashing windows of cars. It's a famous case. You can look it up. So see, that's what's going on here. But real citizens will die, real cops will die, real military will die. But the big military-industrial complex and the big banks, they'll get to make all the money in the world. The fix is in. Now, the media always strawmans this and says, Alex Jones doesn't think Islamic extremism exists. That's not what I said. And they know it. I said Western governments and corporations are protecting it and shepherding it so they can build the threat to then take our freedoms when they strike. That's what I said. Just like if somebody puts a baby in the pen with 5 starving pit bulls. I didn't say the man ate the baby. I said he put the baby in a pen with pit bulls to let the pit bulls eat the baby. And it's the same thing. It's premeditated murder. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. Now, shifting gears. The fix is in on a lot of stuff. I told people interest rates were rigged worldwide. It was declassified 2 years ago, the LIBOR scandal. And many other cases of that. Well, I don't watch Don King boxing matches because it's been known for a long time. When I was a teenager, I liked boxing. My dad liked boxing. My grandfather liked boxing. My other grandfather was a boxer. I grew up liking boxing. But everybody quit watching it because everybody knew it was staged. And it got a little too fake. They don't want the NFL and basketball and the rest of it where there's so much rigging. Here's the thing. 8 to 10 times the money gets made in gambling that gets made in tickets and advertising and merchandise. Okay? That's a fact. Brian Toohey has some of the newer numbers. He's got 2 books out on it, and he's done a lot of analysis, you name it, from everything from ESPN to... The fix is in. Brandon makes a compelling fact-based argument that not everything in the sports world is as it seems, that behind the visceral thrills and feel-good hype lies the potential dark underworld of profit motives, conflicting interest, and possibly rigged competitions in which nothing occurs by happy accident. Patrick Herbie, ESPN. Whether it's NASCAR, MLB, NBA, NFL, NHL, you name it, the fix is in. Not in everything, but it's there. We're going to go to break, come back, give him the floor for a couple segments, and then open the phones up specifically on the game. The Packers versus the Cowboys today. Of course, the Cowboys lost when the Packers came from behind in the fourth quarter. And two calls that everybody's saying are complete fraud is what basically led to the Packers' victory. But wasn't it